All right, guys, it's time for an urgent real-time Bitcoin and stock market forecast. We're going to pump a little, just a hair, tiny little bit more, and then we're going to dump hard. Why do I say so? Why do I think that? Why was that the bottom? That probably was the bottom on Monday, but I'm going to show you how and why I think we're going to go up a little bit more and then dump. But to do that, you have to understand why we started longing right here. How the hell did he know to long at this exact little tiny, teeny little blip and made what? How much? 1,800% for VIP members. Literally, actually not just 18. I told everyone on YouTube. Look at my last video. Look at the video like one or two before this. It says, I'm pretty sure this is the long. It said a 0.1% stop loss. And if this isn't the bottom, then we're just going to do it again. Or you can just buy spot. This should be the bottom is what I said in my YouTube and my Twitter. But how did I figure this out? Let me explain to you this, and that will explain to you why I think we're going to go up a little bit more and then go right back down. Okay? So let's zoom out a little bit. How do you know that this is going to be bottom? I mean, you look at this. This doesn't look any different. This little nipple here doesn't look any different from any of these other nipples. I mean, how do you know? Why is this nipple special and none of these other nipples? I didn't long this. I didn't long this. I didn't long this or this. Actually, I did long this, but that's another story. That's more complex. So I'm just going to explain to you how I long this. This one's easy to learn and follow along at home. Let's zoom out. What do you guys see? Nothing. Let's say all this stuff is gone, right? Let's say all this stuff is gone. And you only have this. How do you know this ain't gonna keep dipping? How do you know that this isn't just gonna keep dumping and then go under? There is a way to know if you really, super really zoom out. Let me do that. If you start really zooming the Martha Freaker out, entirely just zooming the freak out. Like super massive zoom. You might actually start seeing it before I get really out as far as I need to. How did I know to zoom? What is this? What is this pink line? How did I draw that pink line? Let's see. I see a white and pink line with a border line. That's not nearly enough. I don't see any other detail. I'm going to move my head out of the way so you can see that there's nothing else here. How did I know along this one there's nothing else here? There's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. Oh, wow. There's nothing here. Isn't this cool? Look at this hand effect. Nothing here at all. So let's keep zooming out. There's still nothing here. Keep zooming out. Oh, man, there's still, wait a second. Now I'm going to move my head. What is this? I see another line up here. Okay, so this is where we longed at 500x leverage. And then what's this dotted line here and why does it go? This sucks. This is supposed to touch, okay? This is supposed to touch. So why am I making this dotted line touch this and this point? What is that exactly? Let me tell you by zooming out even more. Zooming out even more. Okay, now I've zoomed out a lot. Now let's just shrink this thing down. Wait, what? What is this? Are you seeing that? Let me make it bolder so you can see it more clearly. Well, there you go. Now you can see it very, very clearly. What is that? This entire thing, this entire channel is exactly what told me that this is where we were going to bounce really hard. Huh? You just draw a random channel and the bottom ends up telling you that, mon frère, this is not just a random channel. If you look closely, what this is a neckline for a incomplete head and shoulders. You see this? A head and shoulders, the shoulders should really be big. The shoulders should be about 60% of the head. It should be this big. But let's not get into head and shoulders right now. Let's just say that this is a head and shoulders. Because the rule applies even if it's a regular, normal, correct, not invalidated head and shoulders. Which this is, by the way. This point, and this length and this length being exactly the same creates a head and shoulders pattern. So all we have to do is take a line here and just draw a line from here to here, and then just make a parallel line from here to here and create a channel. Actually, the easier way to do this, let me show you this. Okay, so now you can ignore the middle dotted line here, and you can see what's happening. Take these 2 points and then draw the bottom of the channel. Then just find the parallel top, the toppermost top, say, hey, you've got a channel in here now. The most this thing can dump is double the channel. There you go, that's a secret algorithm for you. Most this thing can dump is double the channel. Wait, are you telling me that all I had to do is find these 2 points, draw a line, and then draw a parallel line at the top, the pickety top, and then you take the width and you just like copy it down and that's the bottom? That's too simple. That's ridiculous. That can't be right. You must be lying. You must be scamming us. And look at what happened. Did you see that? Now let's see where the bottom actually was. Ta-da. Literally. Oh, but wait. This isn't touching the black line. You see why I'm so anal about these lines? The exact I mean, you have to get down to the pixel level. You have to be so anal that you get down to the pixel level to be able to do a 500x long here and make your 800% profits. But this, as you can see, is not actually touching that black line. Let's make sure that it is touching the black line up here. It is. This is precisely placed right here, and yet there is a little bit of space. Why is that? Let me explain that one to you. Let's make this needle sharp again. Now that it's narrower, 1 point, just make sure that, yep, touching, yep. We have a perfect placement. We just took this thing and drove it down. And then, so we should have a little space. This is called front running. That's all it is. It's just front running. It would normally have hit this black line, but whenever there's a huge move coming ahead, people, mega whales, will put orders in just above technical bottom. They'll put orders just before technical bottom to front run everybody else. And that's why we bounced right here. Cool, huh? Okay, so now you learn something. You think, okay, so this is the bottom. All I have to do is look for this, and then I can just do this, and I can set a 100x long here or 500x long here. I can just stay up until 4:30 in the morning until we get real close to this line, and just before this line, I can do a long. Yes, you can, but there will always be a retry of the lows. There's always a retest of the lows. And let me explain to you how we actually got to this. So now let's just zoom back into this. Now that you know how we can find the low, that's not the entry point. The low is not the entry point, because if it's really, really bad, it'll just blow right through this. It'll just go, and just dump even farther down. It'll just go, it'll say, ignore your channel line. I will proceed as planned. Boom. And it'll just get liquidated. So this is not necessarily the world's best. I mean, you could do like a $2 1000x long right here, and you'd make a lot of money. But you don't want to put huge money down. You only want to put huge money down on the retest of the lows. What does the retest of the lows look like now? Which also answers the question, how did he long here? Let me show you. Zooming back in. Zooming back in. Now you can see the candles start to expand a little bit. Zooming back in, 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 zooming back in. Okay, now we're there. So we're zoomed all the way to the top now. And now you're going to see the entry point as to how and why we entered there. You would have made a hell of a lot of money. And then if you had held on to your long here, up here, you would have lost it all. Especially if you had added. It's like, holy shit, I think I'm right. Maybe this really was the bottom. I'm going to add more. Let's just add more. Let's add more. Let's add more. And then all of a sudden, you would have been totally liquidated. So this is not a really good place to start your longs, because you don't have any context. You don't have any framework around you, like the stuff around you that says, well, double confirmation. Not only is this the lowest low following our double channel rule, but it's also blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. If you have multiple rules that this checks true, 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 then it becomes a much safer long, right? Multiple confirmations. So what are the multiple confirmations? What are the multiple check marks? Look, we dipped, We dipped, we went up, and then we went all the way back down. But did we just stop at some random all the way down point? This is gonna trip you out, watch. Watch this. I'm gonna show all my lines now. Actually, I deleted all my lines, so I had to redraw these. Look, this is where I longed. This is the second lowest low. This is the lowest low, this is the second lowest low. Guess where this is? As you go up, and when you come back down, all you have to do is beat the second lowest low and not beat the lowest low. Go right in between, and you will end up with the perfect place to do an 8,000x long. Low, higher 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 low. There's like 5 higher lows here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 higher lows. And then you go all the way down, lower than the 5th higher low, lower than the 4th, lower than the 3rd, lower than the 2nd. Oh, no, 2nd, and then lower than the 1st higher low. Bam. That is where you start your 500x or 1000x long. All you have to do, this is first place, second place, all you have to do is be the new second place, lowest low. Now, you want to get more technical than that? Okay, look, let's zoom in now. This is for you quants out there. Quant. Q-U-A-N-T. Let's get really technical as to where this second lowest low actually stops. Let's draw these lines more precisely. You see why drawing precise lines is important now? I drew that line, and this is not touching, so let me make sure this touches like that. Okay, we did it. Now, you know what I'm going to do next? Bam. You know what these are? These are fib lines. If you take the second highest and the lowest low, the retest of the lows will always hit just about half or the 618 line. I start longing here, and this is my stop loss. I start longing at the 618, and then I'll stop right past this 0.0. And this is how that works. It precisely hits this line. Sexy, huh? Okay, now that you know why and how I decided to, where's that thing that says, anyway, made 1800%. These are rules that always work. They don't change all of a sudden. Because these are statistical law of large numbers kinds of things. It's like the force of gravity. These things are constants. They don't change in the universe. If you want these laws to change, go to a different universe. But in this one, these laws that I just told you will stay the same forevermore, okay? And there's a bunch of other higher end algorithms that I only tell my VIP members. But anyway, for the rest of you guys that struggled through this 13-minute YouTube video so far, you should at least walk away with that amount of alpha, edge-making alpha. Okay, now let's address the actual question in the beginning of the video. Why is it going to pump a little more and then dump? Now let me zoom out again. So we're going to zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, and then let's see. And now you see it. If you draw frames around everything, you'll see what's actually happening. We are in a rising wedge inside of a broadening wedge. So we have a broadening triangle wedge here, and we have a rising wedge here, like so. Okay. So what normally happens? Well, rising wedges normally dump, especially if the most recent thing that happened was a really, really hard bull trap right up here. And especially when we're already outside of this line, and we're heading towards another bigger triangle line. So this is what a rising wedge looks like normally. just so you know the big picture. Actually, not a rising wedge, a descending broadening wedge looks like normally. Here, this is what a bullish descending broadening wedge normally looks like. You ignore the small time frame double touches, and then you got bigger time frame, one touch, one space, one big triangle, two big triangles, and three big triangles that have about the same channel length is what you're looking for. So one touch, two touch, and then three touches here, and then poof. One touch, two touch, and then third touch, and then poof. Pump is what we're normally looking for in a descending broadening wedge that's going to pump. Now just start counting. You just start counting. This is one touch. This is the base. So this would be one touch right here. This is the first touch. This here is this. So these two are exactly the same. These 2 points are the same. So what does that mean? That means that this requires something like this. To match this pattern up here, we have to do this much more, since this is congruent to this. We have to have these two match, and then we have to have these two match. So we've got a couple more matches to go. So don't get your hopes up yet. We might actually need another week or so, maybe even 2 weeks before we pump really hard. Which means you might actually want to think about selling your calls, closing your longs at some point. Now, if this changes, I will tell you. I will tell you first what's it going to look like if it changes. If it changes, normally what ends up happening is you just see a really, really fast breaker that goes up, and it has to invalidate this rising wedge. But I mean, to explain that, it's going to take me another. I'm into 17 minutes on this particular video. And literally, when that happens, there's going to be so much volume and speed that I can tell you, hey, we're going to pump. And then you might actually only have about 30 seconds to 2 minutes before it actually pumps. But right now, it doesn't look like we're going to pump. But if it does suddenly change and look like it's going to pump, I will tell you, and you will only have about 30 seconds to 2 minutes to respond before you actually see the big mega candle. How do I get more notice? How do I find out earlier? Go to timeportal.pro insider trading /signals. Timeportal.pro insider trading /signals. I'll put a link in the description of this YouTube video. Go there and you can join my VIP group. I will tell you guys in my VIP group first so that you make the most amount of money, and I will physically, literally take care of you.